Welcome back once again to On the Mic with Shaz and our special series, Women in Tech Leadership, the Upsides. I'm your host, Shaz, and today I've got a very exciting episode for you. I am joined by Hajra Parveen Akhtar, a principal technical consultant at DXC Technology. She is an Azure DevOps expert, a passionate technologist, and a blogger. Welcome, Hajra.
Hi, Shaz. Thank you for inviting me, and what a beautiful introduction. It always encourages me when people appreciate me and my work. Thank you.
Thanks, Hajra. It's lovely to have you here. And let's get into it now because I always like to start these episodes by the listeners getting to know you a bit better. So you moved from India to Australia. What's one small everyday thing in Australia that's completely surprised you when you first arrived?
Yep, so there is so many things that surprise me because I came to Australia first time I moved out from my home, my city, and completely different country with a different language. But one thing I like to share, maybe it's really embarrassing, but I like to share it on the first podcast. When I went to the childcare orientation session for my daughter, they were sharing the daily schedule like 6 a.m. we give some snacks, 9 p.m. we give a morning tea, 11 a.m. lunch, 3 p.m. afternoon tea. And I curiously asked, what kind of tea did you give to the children? Because my daughter is just a year old. And and they nicely tell me that when we say tea, it doesn't mean actual tea, it just is snacks. And I feel really embarrassed.
Oh my goodness, I'm laughing. But you know what? I made that mistake when I moved to England because I'm from Ireland and we never said tea as our dinner. And when I moved to England, I said the same thing as you. I was like, I don't understand. Why are you having tea for your dinner? So I can relate, Hajra.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great story. So that was the standout for you when you arrived here.
Yeah, I still feel embarrassed. And yeah, I shared with my daughter now, she's an 8 year old, and she told me, Mom, you really did that? Like, yes, I did that.
Oh, that's funny. You're only human. Hajra, you're part of Southbank Toastmasters and you speak regularly in tech spaces, but what's something about you that most people in the tech world would never guess?
I'm a very funny person. And tech and Toastmaster is like a sharing inspiring story, technical decision, business story, and sometimes it go really like people for hard to digest. And I always feel like when I go on stage and share some idea with a light-hearted communication, people enjoy it as well and take a wisdom out of it as well.
That's so important, Hajra. I agree with you there that we tend to think that when we're in the professional world and the corporate world that we have to be serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm so glad that you bring back and bring in some of that lightheartedness to your Toastmasters. I think it's so important. Yeah. And I think people forget as adults, we seem to think that play and fun is for when you're a child. And actually, it's really good for us and our brains and our minds. I encourage us all to do more of that in the corporate world and lighten up. So, as we mentioned earlier, you moved from India to Australia. So, you've grown up in India with in a family with 7 sisters, where you mentioned where women typically didn't work. What was the moment or influence that made you believe you could build a career in technology?
So, grown up the society where women don't work, and when I was a child, I never find it wrong. I see my mother doing the household work cooking and having a kid. So as a kid, I also dream the same way. Like I will grown up, I'll become a woman, I'll have a kid, and I have a house. But then I never decided what career path I was choosing, what education I am taking. So my brother took that decision for me, and I was happy for that. I did engineering. I love maths when I was in a school, and my family is really a protected family, where my parent doesn't allow me to travel far from home or not talking to a stranger. And I also understand where it come from, and it's for our safety. But then I got an offer from the startup very near to my house. Then my family allowed me, okay, fine, you go and work. It's very near, and that's no problem. It's a really small company, the like five people, one developer, one project manager, one owner. So there, I got a lot of opportunity there, even very early stage of my career, working with the client, coding, testing the application stuff. I worked there a few years, and my colleagues advised me, you have engineering degree, and that you have a great skill, you should apply a job outside. And at that time, I think I grown a bit more older that my parent can trust me to go a bit far and travel a bit far. So I got an offer from Tata Consultancy Services, which is one of the biggest multinational company in India. From that time, I believe that maybe I can dream higher, I can achieve more, and I can also inspire other people in my family, because other my cousin sister and they are coming, can you talk to our parent that I want to do a job, I want to go to another city. So yeah, you make one story that so other people can follow. So yeah, it's a good thing, I feel.
Absolutely, you're an inspiration because you're right. In those little places, like if you don't do it, if it's not you, then who? Who else can they look up to or inspire to be? And that's you now. So well done. So when you moved to Australia then with your husband, like you just mentioned there, you'd already built experience in tech, but the reality here in Australia was different. What were the biggest challenges you faced trying to get started again in Australia?
Yep. So when I came here to join my husband, I thought for me it will be very easy because I have experience of big MNC Tata Consultancy Services. They have their branches in Australia as well. Maybe I can go and try them. I work for the very big banking project like Bank of America, Bank of Canada. So I feel like my resume is really strong, and it will be not challenging for me to get a job. But I had my first interview, and I was very confidently wear my best dress, pink dress, and all dupattas and stuff, and went there wearing all bangles, prepared for the interview. And then it was in some suburb, and I feel like my outlook is completely different than other. Everybody is looking different, the way they are sitting, talking. It made me nervous, but I tried to be confident and given my interview the best I could. So they asked me some technical question, and I was able to answer those very confidently, and they were happy with my answer as well. But few questions they asked, like how you start your day, how you work in a team, how you handle the conflict. These are the questions I didn't expect, or I didn't know how to answer it very well that time. So I feel a bit nervous. The interview happened like around 40 minutes. I came back home. Next day, HR called me and she said, "My job is to just to email you that you didn't select it, but I wanted to give you some insight that help you to in another interview. The panel find your technical skill very good, very strong, but they didn't feel you are going to be fit into a team, or maybe you feel a bit challenges, so they didn't feel confident that you'll be fitting in the team." And I really appreciate her because she guided me the right way, like where should I put my focus on. And I took that feedback positively, that I have a good tech skill, so I don't need to focus on more training and technical training. Hold on and work on how I be culturally fit into the Australian job market. So I started attending the meetup, social event, meeting new people. And yeah, one day I was attending one event, day event, and I meet one girl and we were talking, and they have a after event party going to some place for drinks. And I said, I'll not go there because I don't drink. She said, okay, come and drink water. I also don't drink. And I said, yeah, I can go and drink water. Yeah. So this is how I break this barrier, that you can be your own, but you also fit in and respect other culture and be involved in it.
Firstly, I want to say your attitude is awesome. The feedback that you got for your interview, and like you said, you could have taken it really badly, but you took the feedback and you said, right, I now know I don't need to train, I just need to do these little tweaks. And I find when we're migrating to Australia that we take the linear path of you apply for a job and we put our whole self-worth and that experience from our previous countries into these job ads and job boards. And really, the way you go about positioning yourself and getting opportunities in the tech landscape now, it has to be strategically planned out. Like, this would be my advice to everybody, is have a career action plan before you tackle it. So when you move, do your research, make a plan. Where do I want to work? Just like you said, Hajra, I know that I had transferable skills because I've worked for these banks, and what companies will appreciate that over here, and then go after those companies. Don't just wait for job ads and wait for these roles to be advertised. And I respect as well that you said, I need to work on how to fit in culturally, because you weren't saying that I'm going to change my whole self to fit in culturally. I love that you said, I'll adapt culturally while being myself.
Yep, yep.
That is beautiful. And that is belonging, not fitting in,
Yeah,
which is fantastic.
yeah. That one thing I like to add, if we go from one culture to other, we can bring back best of both. Like, leave it that doesn't align with you from your older culture, and accept from the new culture that you feel like more aligned with you.
And I would encourage us to drop our biases around people from different countries, right? Because you meet one person from a country, you may not have a great experience with them. And then you meet someone else from the same country and you are assuming they're going to be the same and treating them accordingly. And they're scratching their heads because they've grown up differently, even though it's the same country, even maybe the same town. We all are individual in how we're moving through our careers and our personal lives. We're all experiencing something different. So you can never paint everyone with the same brush.
Yeah. But I also feel like, we try to be not judgmental, we try not to be judged, but like AI do, we do the same thing. AI work on a data. When you ask about someone, he research, go into their ML language and think about all the data he gathered into few years and come back with those judgment. The same, our brain do the same thing. When we meet someone, okay, in this country, this place, did I meet that person before in my life, how was my experience, and then came back to this data and I create some perception about that person. But important is how we react to it. Should we be rude to my data? I can be more observant, maybe try to be safe if I have a bad experience, but being rude or being like, how we react to it, having a data is not a problem, but how we deal with those data is I feel like that is important. Yeah.
Yes, Hadra. I actually love the way you put that. Yeah, because that is such a data brain you have there. It makes so much sense because we can, you're right, it's inbuilt in us. We are built to gather the data, make judgments, and it's what you do with that data. But we're human at the end of the day. Respect that these people are moving to this country. They've got livelihoods, they've families, they've feelings. And irrespective of your first data that pops into your head, it's be curious about that person and their characteristics. What we've got to start seeing, regardless of gender identity, backgrounds, cultures, is one characteristic that you're missing. That other person might have that characteristic and lift the team. That's what we've got to be more curious about. Let's all collaborate as a team and bring those characteristics and strengths together to make this product work, to make this tech environment work, and give the users and give the customers an amazing experience, because we are banding together.
Yeah, yeah.
Because your customers are all diverse.
Yeah, they are all diverse. So like some of the tech company, they are developing shopping website, and women can give more ideas because as a customer she can also bring the customer experience as well, like they do the shopping by themselves. So also some of my interview I used to give when I came here, like a recruiter often asks me why you want to join a male dominating tech industry, and I never replied to them. But I think in a mind that I already have a 7 8 year of experience, and any of my task or my job, I never find anything I can't do being a woman. And then why you make it a male dominating industry? That's your problem. That's not my problem.
It's so true. And my goal is to just have it be people in tech.
Yeah,
No segregation at all. I want to not be a career and leadership coach for women in technology because there's no need anymore.
yeah,
Right? That's my goal. To eliminate me. No need for me. Because I had that in my own career, right? And it was traditionally male dominant. But even saying those words almost puts us in a box already
yeah.
of we should be thinking different, but it's not. Like, I'm talking to women every day who don't even notice. They're luckily in a great environment where it's not seen that way. It's just they're a team. That's it. There's no differentiation between genders or identities. It's just we're people banding together to deliver. And I think that's fantastic to be witnessing. Yeah. Yeah. So, one of the first things you did when arriving in Australia was you joined a mosque and you connected with other women. And you were telling me that you noticed some of them were struggling to get started and had limiting beliefs about what was possible. Let me ask you then, what conversations were you having with them, and how did you help them start to see new possibilities?
When I came to Australia, I don't know anyone. I just came with my husband, joined him, and I'm not good at English as well that I can talk to the people or make a friend in the park. But I used to go to mosque every Friday. We used to have a afternoon gathering where all the women in the area meet. I chat with other women that how they settle down in the new city. Is they are studying or they are working? Is anyone working in a tech? Maybe I can get some references. I meet few women who are studying in a Melbourne University or completed their master's, PhD. But then I announced that I'm looking for a job and I'm finding a job in tech. So somehow I landed a job and I made bit of my career, but I still feel for my friends there who are struggling. They see my stories and they say, "Yeah, we are really proud of you. Like you're doing this thing and that." But always feel their pain. Last 1 or 2 year I'm doing a mentoring for my company or for other two organization helping women to get into the tech. Recently I joined the global community called Tech Sisters. They have a global presence, helping the Muslim women to get into the tech or any other job. I'm planning to create that presence in Melbourne and create an event so connect these women and then maybe find a right job that match with them or helping to get into tech. Yeah.
Oh, what a joy you are. You just saw that there was this Tech Sisters globally, and now you're going to bring that into Melbourne. So, you mentioned that you mentor many people, and you particularly mentor many people in the Microsoft ecosystem today, and often speak about the power of simply getting started. Why is getting started such an important theme for you, and what does that first step realistically look like for someone entering tech today?
I think it's a general advice. I feel like, and everybody follows something motivational thing, and I feel like motivational thing is to getting started. Like every day, finding a job is a really challenging thing. It make you sometime depressed, sometime anxious, and it affect our mental health. And when I used to mentor people, sometimes they just don't want to listen any advice. They are just like sharing what they're going through. So I just listen, and they are like, I tried, I give a certification, I failed, I don't want to do it again. I'm going on holiday. I like, okay, go holiday and we'll talk when you come back, because we need a break, but we need a consistency as well. Like do a small step. I'll give them the very small step that okay, don't do a certification, but read through that article, connected with your to goal. Some of the women I mentored, they are like with kids and similar to my position, and sometime I feel like one step, I have a conversation with them and they are like, okay, I have a goal, 3 months I want job, I do this training certification and that. And the next meeting they are on the completely different step. Like something happened, their kid got sick, and they are like, no, I think getting a job is not a good idea. I can't put this time on myself. I need to be more focused on being a mother. I i just advise them that just don't give up, take a break, but come back, like do a small step, register for the course, or maybe take a 1 hour or apply a job. So some of the day when I was struggling finding a job, and when you put every effort for the interview and you come back as a rejection, then after that I don't want to give any more interview, I'm done, I think I'm not enough, and I no one is going to give me job, and shut down my computer. And then I give myself 1 or 2 day not to do anything, then come back and do a small step, like apply for one job and then do nothing, then gradually come back to all my confidence. I think some of the day you feel like I need to sleep whole day, and the small step can be get up from the bed, make a coffee, have a breakfast, and go for a walk is also one step in your job searching journey. So yeah, being consistent is important, and taking a small step every day.
Great advice. I think the key words you mentioned, small steps, because it's very overwhelming to look at the big picture. And
Yeah.
particularly when you've just moved here. If you look at the big picture, it looks massive. And that's why I always say, and this is my tip, if you are applying for a company or a job, I challenge you to think and act like that company is going to call you the next day and ask, why do you want to work for me and for this company, and why this role? And do you know how many times people freak out when I ask that after they've applied for roles? Because they haven't researched the company. And we're getting into this habit, this linear habit of hit apply, see if they come back, then we might get rejected or we might get an interview. And that's just a habit. And that habit comes out of a hope and the fears that we have. And what's more beneficial is to plan first. What am I looking for before I apply? What types of companies do I want to work for? And you have to do it more proactively now through strategic networking, reaching out on LinkedIn, and having a more proactive approach, not waiting for a job ad to come up, because 80% of roles are not advertised. We've got to think differently. We've got to think outside the box, and you've got to plan and research. It's worth doing the planning and researching than hitting apply and being burnt out and exhausted. It's where you put your energy. And if you're burnt out and exhausted, it means you're putting your energy in the wrong places that are not serving you, not aligned with what you want to do or where you want to go. And you mentioned earlier that someone said to you that they had a 3-month time frame. I'm going to ask you as well, remove timeframes, because what it does is it puts an unnecessary pressure on yourself to be done by that 3 months, to have that job by that 3 months, but it doesn't work like that. Particularly if you're going into leadership and executive roles, they take a long time. If you are wanting to go into leadership executive roles or even getting your first role, you have got to do your research beforehand. And you've got to ask yourself, now that I'm here, what do I want? What type of role do I want? What am I willing not to accept? What are my non-negotiables? What type of company do I want? Is it a startup? Do I want to be a technical SME? Do I want to go into a leadership role? And have that mapped out, because the more clear you are on that for yourself, the more confident the people receiving your application and interviewing are going to be about you too.
Yeah, I'm also one of those who just hit apply, apply, apply. And maybe I give you a bit of insight why other people may be a different reason, but why I do that. I fear rejection. And I do the interview as well, the same thing that I don't prepare 100% for interview. I prepare a little. Initially, I used to do that. I prepare a 50-60%. So if I get rejected, I have a reason for myself. I haven't prepared enough. So it's okay if I prepared, I might get it. So I make myself happy about not taking rejection personally. So fear of rejection make us don't put all your hope and interest in the job. But then I feel like, you have to accept the rejection and you have to be apply with the 100% and get a feedback from the organization and then work on those feedback, because every rejection has a reason. Recently I learned one quote, like if you go to a shop, buy a shoe, there is a two shoe, brown shoe and a black shoe. They are exactly same, everything look perfect, and you select a black shoe. There is no fault of brown shoe, but then that day you wanted a black shoe. So sometimes it's nothing in problem in within you. It just that's not your day, or the organization or the person other side don't want you at that time. Maybe the next day I go back and buy a brown shoe as well.
Love that. I love that analogy. That's excellent. And it's true. It's like, I say this about a lot of things, whether it's an interview, an action, or a decision. One of them will be right, and that's great, and a win. And one of them will be information. There's never a wrong. There's never a wrong action. There's never a wrong decision. There's never a wrong interview. It's either it's it for you and it's right, or it's information for the next action, for the next decision, for the next role. It's very normal. Like what you said is very honest. Thank you for being honest about that, Hajra. It's very common. I've seen it so many times, the limiting beliefs and the setbacks we put in, and we're almost self-sabotaging before it even gets there. And sometimes we self-sabotage because if we get that role, that's the role of our dreams. And when I get it, imposter syndrome creeps in and you're like, how will I be able to hold it now? So you're almost self-sabotaging and not preparing too well for it, because you're like, then if I get it, now I'm facing a new fear. So yeah, which is why I do what I do, to make sure that I give us back our power to go after it and remove those limiting beliefs and those setbacks and the self-sabotages, so that we can just go for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a great analogy. Thank you for that.
Yeah, many time it happened as well. Like I interviewed year back some company and they come back to me 1 year or 2 year that you applied it. So if you put 100%, maybe you don't get that time the response, but in future maybe it create a possibility for the future, future jobs or maybe collaboration or working together or something like that. So yeah, always give 100%, and you can't control the result, but you can control your efforts.
Absolutely. I'll just share a quick story there. When I moved to Australia first, I had to get sponsorship and I had $300. That's it. That's how I arrived here. And it was a lot of pressure. But before I arrived, I did a lot of research and I prepared. Before I arrived here, I had 8 interviews lined up. Of these 8 interviews, there were 7 who were promising, and then the one at the end, which was the very last one, I wasn't really too keen on because they already said there wasn't an opportunity available. So I was like, I'll go, but I'm not going to put my most effort into it. And then I went on the journey of the other 7 interviews before this one. Some not so great experiences, had that whole scenario of being judged and biases because why wasn't I married at 26? Why was I traveling at 26? Why didn't I have kids by 26? And I'm sitting there like, ah, And all these judgments were fired at me in these interviews. And anyway, I continued along, did these interviews, and I got an offer, and that was great. But my gut instinct was like not aligned. They were the ones that asked me all those very judgmental questions. So they offered me the role, but my instincts inside of me were like, no, not for me, not aligned with my values. I would not be able to be myself. And then I came to that eighth one, which I was kind of like, ugh. But then I decided I'm actually going to give this everything, because what if I don't know the outcome? I'm assuming. And I went in, I gave it everything. And they said, this is a true story. They said, we had someone leave on Friday. So originally, when I spoke to you a month ago and we arranged this catch up, there was no opportunities available. But we had someone leave on Friday to go back to their home country. And now we have an opportunity. And I put my best foot forward, and they did everything in their power so that I wouldn't continue with the other offer. I was supposed to go and meet the team of the other place that gave me the offer, but they decided to give me more salary and let me meet the team quicker than the other place if I said no to the other place. And so I did. And that was my career from there, 5.5 years in that company. Right? Yeah. So I would say never assume. Assumptions are the killer of everything. Assumptions are the killer of all relationships and careers.
And also we restrict ourselves with the one path, but the surprises make our life more interesting. For example, I joined a Toastmaster to just be a better speaker, or just I can communicate with my team. But then I started doing a contest there, and I started took a humor pathway, and this year I won the third place in a division level contest for District 73. So that make me like, apart from my work, my family, this is one thing that make me happy, like give a humorous speech or talk about the anything that doesn't restrict me, so that sometime the path you didn't plan for make more your life interesting, and then also give more visibility or your personality.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that story. And I can relate. I was actually on the panel for an event with Monash Data and AI Society just last week. And I shared a story with the students of how once upon a time I traveled and backpacked solo for 2 years. And I was teaching English to kids in Thailand. And this was before I re-entered back into the tech industry again. And it was fascinating that after, when I was chatting to them all, they all wanted to know how I did that, why I did that. It was a big thing for them. And I explained and I told them the story that actually I was so shy and introverted, and I knew it inside my mind. I knew I wanted that to change. Now I was scared. I used to work in an open plan office, 35 people, and I wouldn't walk from my seat to the printer. I was so scared. And then people used to call me lazy and everything. But what they didn't realize, if they asked me questions, is they would have realized that I was just crippled with fear, that they would laugh at me, that I'd fall over, that I'd do something silly. And I was so scared. And I knew in my mind, I just didn't want to live like that anymore. And I had met some of my sister's friends when I went back on a holiday back to Ireland. And this was in England I was talking about. And I went back to Ireland for a holiday. And I was chatting to my sister's friends, and they had been backpacking, and they were so confident and grounded. And I was like, I want that. What do I need to do to get there and feel like that? Because I will do it. And I'm not saying that I backpacked solo for 2 years and taught English to kids and I became confident overnight. What I learned was it's putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and putting yourself out there. It grows and grows and grows. Now, I'm still growing confidence today. There are still things that trigger me and knock me off my confidence. So it never happens. If you're sitting there waiting for confidence and waiting for clarity, it doesn't happen. You got to action first, and the confidence and the clarity comes after. And it will always be tested. But it's that groundedness that you can give yourself, that sense of who you are, and that self-care for you and looking after you and getting to know you is the key to a successful career. and being able to stand on your own 2 feet no matter what's showing up around you.
Yeah. I feel like we always fear, like people will laugh at me, people will laugh at me. And when I started doing this humor speech, I feel like let people laugh at me. And that make it like positive. Now it's like, oh, people is laughing at my joke. That is a positive. So that same thing, that fear in my mind, like if I wear this, people will laugh at me. If I say my story, people will laugh at me. Now I share the same story and let the people laugh at me, and then come out of that fear that people will laugh at me or judge me. I think that Toastmaster bring that part back, making me confident, like about myself, like, this is my story. You can laugh, you can inspire, whatever you want to do it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I absolutely love it. I'm just buzzing with the amount of advice you have given, and I hope all the women listening take this on board and realize what's possible. Look what Hajra is telling you, and I encourage you to reach out to her because she's going to be starting this network in Melbourne. So make sure you're following her and reach out to her so you can keep in contact and get more advice from Hajra on how to navigate this tech landscape, particularly if you have moved from another country as well. So thank you, Hajra, for being on and for sharing your stories with us. It's so relatable, and I love that you were so honest about it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And it is a nice conversation with you. Maybe I could give you a virtual hug.
I love virtual hugs. Thanks, Eve.
Thank you. Nice meeting you, Shaz.
Nice meeting you too. And I do love your humor and I love your lightness, and we need more of that in the world. So thank you. Thank you for bringing it to this episode as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for anyone listening, please ensure you're subscribed and telling everybody about this podcast so they can also get some tips and tricks for navigating their journey in the tech landscape. It's constantly changing and constantly evolving. So you need to be listening to people who can give you that advice that have gone before you and can help you through it. So yeah, subscribe, make sure that you're listening in when these episodes come out, and there's more conversations coming up with more wonderful women leading in the tech industry. So until then, keep challenging the status quo and be the change you want to see.
Thank you.